Okay, so today you're going to be learning about zero and negative exponents so that you can evaluate expressions that have zero or negative exponents. So what do we need to know about a zero exponent? As any exponent or any number raised to a zero power is going to be equal to 1, except for 0. Okay? Anything except for 0 to the 0 power is 1. You never leave a 0 power in your answer. It is considered unsimplified. Okay? So, if we raise 8 to the 0 power, then it's going to be equal to 1. If you raise all of negative 3 to the 0 power, it's also going to be equal to 1. Okay, you see how this negative here was inside the parentheses? So it was part of it. Is this negative in the inside of the parentheses? No. So this is like negative on the outside, and this becomes the 4 to the 0 power becomes 1, which is also just equal to negative 1. Okay, the only time the negative gets included is if it's inside parentheses. If it's not inside the parentheses, it's on the outside. Okay? Right, is this 0 touching this 5? No, so it is not included with that 1. So this becomes 5 times 1, which is also just 5. Is this 0 touching the 7? No. So this becomes 7 times 1. Is this 0 touching the 8? No. 8 times 1. So 7 times 1 is 7. Negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. 7 minus 8 is negative 1. So that is 0 exponents. Okay? If you have a 0 exponent, it becomes a 1, but only the number or variable that it is touching, that it's next to. Okay? Unless there's parentheses and it's all of it's included. Okay? Negative exponents. A to the negative n is the reciprocal of a to the n. So it's kind of like, it's not necessarily the opposite, it's in the opposite position. Okay? So a to the negative n equals 1 over a to the n. See how it gets moved to the bottom of the fraction? Oh, sorry, so good. The main thing here is that you never leave a negative power in your answer. It is unsimplified. To get rid of the negative exponent, you change their positions in a fraction. So if it's on top and it's negative, it gets moved to the bottom. If it's on the bottom and it's negative, it gets moved to the top. Okay. But only the number or variable that is touching the negative exponent. Okay? If it doesn't have a negative exponent, it stays exactly where it's at. Okay? So if there's a 2 on top and then there's like an a to the negative 3, the a to the negative 3 gets moved to the bottom and the 2 has to stay on top because it's not touching the negative. Okay? Only move a base with the negative exponent. You keep your base the same if it's not negative. Okay? So here, my negative sign is touching my 2, all this. So it's going to get moved to the bottom of my fraction. But I'm going to be left with nothing on top, so it's just going to become a 1. A 1. When we move it to the bottom, the negative exponent becomes positive. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get rid of the negative because it's unsimplified. And then now we can just find 2 squared, which is 4. That's fine. So now I'm going to take my 5 to the third. I'm going to move it to the bottom of my fraction, so I'm going to be left with a 1 on top. This is going to become 5 to the third. And 5 times 5 times 5?
125.
125. So this becomes 1 over 125. Okay, same thing here. My negative is affecting my x. So, but if I move it to the bottom, there's going to be nothing left on top, so it's becoming a 1. And then I have an x to the third. There's nothing that I can do to that because I don't know what x is. All right. So here, we see this -1. Is this -1 touching this 4? No. So my 4 is going to stay on top, exactly where it's at. Okay? So what I like to do is write, if anything doesn't have a negative sign, write that first in the position that it's supposed to be at. And then move the rest of your numbers or letters. So in this case, I'm just going to move my x to the bottom. And would I raise it to the first power? No, it's the same thing. It's just x. So then it's 4 over x. I don't know what x is, so I can't simplify any further than that. Okay, let's try some more. Okay, the -2. Which variables or numbers is being affected by the -2? Y. So the only thing that I'm going to be moving is my y. The 2x is going to remain in the same position. Okay, so I'm going to keep 2x on top. My y squared is going to go to the bottom. And it becomes positive because we moved it. And that's what we're trying to do, is make it positive because we can't leave negatives. Okay, my -4 here. It's only touching this end. Is anything going on with this that's negative? No, so it's going to stay on top. It's going to stay in the position that it's at. So 3m squared is going to stay on top. I'm just going to move my my 4n, my n to the 4th to the top. Sorry. And that's it. If this was a number, I could have made it to the 4th and multiplied it by this over here, but it's not a number, so it's just staying as into the 4th. Okay, my -2 here just goes with the x. This -5 here just goes with the y. Does my z move?
No.
No. So I'm going to just put my z right where it's at. Okay, then I'm going to move my x to the bottom, so that's going to become x squared. And I'm going to move my y to the top, which is y to the 5th. If you put the z out front, that's fine. It's just normally we follow alphabetical order. So if you had z, y to the 5th over x squared, that's fine. Okay, I'm not going to take off points for that. But we should do it in alphabetical order. Okay, so I'm going to move my 0 to the 3rd to the bottom, and I'll be left with 1 on top. And 0 to the 3rd is 0. Can 1 be divided by 0? No. So this is undefined. Or no solution. Okay, evaluating expressions. So the first step, we simplify the expression, okay? So like we just did. Get rid of the negatives, get rid of the zeros, okay? Once it's in its most simplest form, we're going to substitute values into the variable. They're going to give you those values, okay? And then we're going to evaluate that expression. Do not substitute the values in first, okay? Make sure that you get it in its most simplest form first because it makes it less confusing later. Okay? Okay. So I have a -2. So what am I going to be moving? Just the A. My 2 and my B are going to stay exactly where they are at on top. So I'm going to have a 2 and a B on top. On the bottom, I'm going to have an A squared. Now that I have it in its simplest form, I can substitute values in for A and B. They tell me what my A is and my B. So I'm going to have 2 times B, which is 3, over -2 squared. And then we're just going to solve our existing equation. So 2 times 3 is 6, -2 squared is 4, and that can be reduced to 3 over 2. Okay, how about here? Is my b squared moving anywhere? No, it's staying on bottom. So I'm just going to write it right there. Okay, what about my a? It needs to get moved also to the bottom. I'm just going to put it out front. We go in alphabetical order, but I won't raise it to the first because that wouldn't matter. I'm going to be left with nothing on top, so it becomes a 1. Okay? It's not a 0 because then it's just 0. It's a 1. All right. Now that there's no more zeros or no ones or no negatives, we can substitute in our values. We have 1 over negative 2 times 3 squared. We have to do exponents first. So 3 squared is 9. And negative 2 times 9 is negative 18. So this becomes 1 over negative 18. Okay, what is moving in my next problem?
The A and just the A.
The A. The 4 isn't moving. Is that 4 touching that negative 3? No. So that 4 and that B3, or B to the third, it's staying on top. So I have 4b to the third on top. Then my a is moving to the bottom, and it's going to also be to the third. Now that I have no negatives, I'm going to substitute values into my equation, or my expression. So I'm going to have 4 times b, which is 3, to the third, over a, negative 2, to the third. We have to do exponents first. So 3 to the third is 27. And negative 2 to the third is negative 8. 4 times 27 is 108. Can that be reduced? Yeah, by 4. I multiply by 4 here, and I know 8 can go into 4. So this can become 27 over negative 2. So for purpose of room, I'm just going to do the next one on top so that we have it all on top. So I have 2b to the negative 2 over a to the negative 1. Okay. Is my 2 moving anywhere? No. No. Does it have a negative sign next to it?
No.
With it, an exponent that's raised to negative? No. It's saying exactly where it's at, so that's what I'm going to write there. All right, my b, it's moving to the bottom. My a, it's moving to the top. I don't need to write a 1 because that's just pointless. Now I can substitute my values in. So I'm still going to have a 2 there. My a is negative 2. My b is 3. And negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. And 3 squared is 9. And then that can't be simplified, so that is my answer.